This article was produced in 2008, and it was about the evidence that helium found in crystals, which is where the helium is a byproduct of radioactive decay. Well, those crystals were supposed to be 1.5 billion years old based on radioactive decay. And yet, when you measured the amount of helium that was in the crystals, that amount of helium suggested that the amount of time involved was only 6,000 years. There was too much helium there, it should have diffused. And the rock strata around it had far less helium than these particular crystals, and that's because the crystals were having helium generated from the radioactive decay. Well, the article refers to the people who have objected to this analysis. Now, the analysis was set out in the RATE program that was produced in 2000, and it generated a book called Thousands, Not Billions, which has a number of articles showing how data suggests that the rocks are only thousands of years old, not billions of years old. But what's interesting about this particular article is that it shows the amount of detailed analysis that the creation scientists undertake. It also shows that they peer review their own work, that they are rigorous, and that they take criticism seriously. And the point he makes is that in the 5 years since this was produced, this initial work, there had been 12 attempted criticisms of it, none of which bore scrutiny. None of those criticisms were ever peer-reviewed. They were, as it were, works that were produced in the internet or in other articles that were not peer-reviewed. And the author is saying that the evidence we have is very consistent, that the rocks are only thousands of years old based on the amount of helium that we find in radioactive rocks, and that there is no clear evidence of how this can be wrong. There is no arguments that have been put forward to refute it. And the other point that the author wants to make is that in this process, you see the quality of the scientific research going on by the creation scientists and their, as it were, willingness to have their work subjected to criticism and their willingness to reply to such criticisms with detailed responses. And that's been my basic feeling when I've read their articles and their responses, that these are people who are very capable and very meticulous in what they do. They're also quite critical of each other, I hasten to add. So you often find within the creation societies that there are articles in which each other criticizes each other, which is good. This is what you expect to find. It's a healthy, open environment. But the bottom line is this. These helium findings have been known about now for 20 years. And there's no refutation of them scientifically. They've just simply been ignored. And that's true of the soft tissue in dinosaur bones and other fossils. It is true of a lot of the stuff that's coming out which supports the recent rocks. And this is concerning because if these results, like soft tissue and helium and other things, point to a young Earth, that has massive implications on our eternal destiny, because we're not the product of chance, we're not the product of impersonal forces. We are the product of a creator, and we have an eternity to spend with the creator or to spend away from him in judgment. And therefore it matters greatly whether these things are true or false. Are the rocks only thousands of years old, in which case the Bible is true? Or are the rocks millions of years old, billions of years old, in which case there's evidence to suggest the Bible's not quite what we think it is. Well, I think these things ought to be considered seriously, because eternity is a very long time. Well, thank you for listening.